Hello everybody, I got a 96 Toyota T100. Today I'm replacing the valve cover gaskets, the intake manifold gaskets, the rear camshaft seal gaskets, the seal caps, and new spark plugs, new ignition coils, and new spark plug wires. So let's get started. We're going to take out the intake box. These are all the new parts we got. We got new ignition coils, wires, plugs, an entire new gasket set, which I'm not going to use all of it. I'm only going to take what I need. There we go. Okay, right now cables are free. We're just gonna get them out of their body fittings. Get this off, just put it aside. On this side, we're just gonna remove this hose here, this vacuum line here, and this vacuum line here. Perfect. Here we're gonna disconnect the ground cable. I'll put the screw back in so I know that's ground. There's a bracket right here. You're going to remove that bolt. All right, so you have to remove these bolts, fastener here, and then a bolt there, and then the fastener there. And then there's one bolt on this side here and one bolt on the front that holds the manifold in place. And you can take that off. Now, if you're not able to get to the coolant lines for the throttle body, you can get them right now. You can lean the manifold forward and disconnect these easily. Back of the manifold, you have the solenoid connector and this solenoid vacuum. Unplug that. Bottom of the throttle body, you have three lines: engine coolant, and a vacuum line. All these has to be disconnected. The PCV line, you can take the PCV valve with it, so you don't have to worry about breaking the valve. That's it now with 6 bolts. And that's it. This will separate the manifold, and if you try to lift it and there is something stuck on it, there's only one thing that could be stuck is on this side. You would have this 10mm bolt right there, one and second one, that's holding this bracket. If you haven't removed it, that will be the only thing in the way. Otherwise, should be able to lift it straight up. There you go. Here we have an access to clear valve covers, and we're going to go ahead and remove them. Valve covers are removed by taking care of some 10mm bolts here. So you got 10mm here and along the side. First thing first, take out your ignition wires. Now, if you don't have the diagram handy, make note of things, how they're connected. Write it down on a piece of paper. In my case, I've done enough of these that I don't need to do that. So let's take out the ignition coils, 10mm. Once you take the bolts out, just pull the coil up straight. It's pretty common to have these plastics cracked because it gets pretty hot down here, and back then the plastic didn't used to be that well made. So let's take the valve cover out, and I'll show you all the bolts on the valve cover that you need to remove. So there we are. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pry between here, and valve cover will be removed. Now you have spark plug sleeve gaskets and valve cover gasket that needs to be replaced. I'll be replacing all of them. And then I'm replacing this little cap back here. To do that, you're gonna need to open these two 10mm bolts. Here we go, we got it cleaned. Here are our newer caps. So to install these, you can just simply push them in like that, but this is not where things end. We need to add silicone to the joint part here and here before I put them back onto the head. So here you go, the seal is ready. I'm gonna go ahead and push it back in. So I can try to make it as a video. If it doesn't work, then you get an idea. So right here, you're just gonna push it back on to the pins. And there you go. Now, install 2 bolts like that and tighten them down. So here are the few spots you want to add dab of silicone to. So right here and right here. Let's do that. And then right here. Right after you clean it up, of course. On the cam sensor and right here. All right. So there's a few spots you're gonna add silicone to right there and right there where the curve is, the joint here and there, you can see. After this, I just pressed in the new spark plug seals and the new silicone gasket. Now, if you're cleaning your valve cover or painting it, you have to make sure that these seals are pressed in before you paint your valve cover. Otherwise, afterwards, you're gonna damage the paint. So in my case, it does require both hands to install the covers. One thing I recommend you do is once the cover is on, just lift it slightly, feel the gaskets all around, and before putting your bolts back on. The gasket can slide out, but this way you can confirm there is no mistake. So these are 10mm bolts. I'm going to put those on, torque it down, and change plug. So we're using the NGK Iridium plugs. That's what customers brought to me. And perfect. So I torqued the plugs down. The original plugs were pretty loose. Anyway, so you can see the ignition boot, and it has a new contact spring. I'm just gonna push this on, nice and easy. I already added the grease to them, and if you didn't, you go ahead and do that. It will allow the boot to sit firmly and not leave any gaps between the contact spring. And there we go. To hold the ignition coils, you have 3 10mm bolts right here. And then I guess we're just gonna tighten them up. Perfect. Now to change the second valve cover gasket, process is exactly the same. I'm not going to show that because this makes the video longer. I'm just going to tell you that I'll take the coil cover out, clean it up again, put new paint, put new gaskets, and install it back in. You will notice that these mounts are already broken. That's because they're plastic, so nothing to worry. Also held by 10mm bolts, and you got to disconnect those. So here we go. I got both valve covers on with new gaskets. The back seals are on, and the coils and wiring harness worked like this if you didn't write it down. Okay, so the first coil on the passenger side, if you were like looking at this side, so first coil on the passenger side will go to the middle plug. Second coil on the passenger side will go to the last plug, and the very last coil on the passenger side goes to the first plug. So this will show you how to connect your wires. Now I'm just going to clean out inside, make sure there's no residue or materials dropped in there. Put new gasket here and start putting everything back together. The only word of advice I can give you guys when working on this side is there's not a lot of room to get the valve cover out because of this bracket. So just loosen that bracket down, take it out, and that will be easy for you. So you don't have to open any of the wiring harness. That's what I did. Okay, well, let's get the gaskets back in. So this is the old gasket. Let's see, the new one is metal or what? Yes, the new one is metal. Line it up, and voila, we got the gasket on. Perfect. Now, my customer did not, I didn't charge a customer for any of the manifold gaskets, but since I bought myself a entire head gasket set to do the job, I'm gonna end up go ahead and replace them. All right, so the bottom manifold, yes. So bottom manifold, you can line up the rear stud first and the back stud like so. Perfect. Now at this point, if you have not connected, I think you should connect the ground terminal here, because that's only connected to the lower part of the manifold. Right. Tighten that down, and then we are going to connect this metal plate for the fuel line back onto the manifold.